from MMP. We're one of the gold sponsors of this week's conference. And this afternoon, I have the pleasure to introduce Kirsty Liddicoat from Evolution Mining, who's the general manager, the Red Lake operations. And we're excited to hear from her about the company's activities there. So Kirsty, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Graham, and welcome everyone. So as Graham said, I'm the General Manager at Evolution Mining. I've been here just coming up on 12 months, and Evolution's owned Red Lake for about 14 months now. We brought it from Newmont in April last year. Red Lake has a very long history that I'm sure many of you are aware of. We've been in operation for about 75 years. But as we've come into it with Evolution, we're really thinking about how we can approach the ore body differently, so we can actually continue to extract value from the ore body for the next 20 plus years. So we have actually changed the way we're going to be mining. We've got some key projects I'll be talking to you about. But stepping back a little bit, who is Evolution? So Evolution is an Australian-based company, and Red Lake is actually the first of their assets in North America. And Red Lake is one of the 4 cornerstone assets of Evolution. So the cornerstone assets, Red Lake, Cal in New South Wales, Ernest Henry, that's not showing on the map here, and Madaria, the cornerstone assets. And at Evolution, we believe our people are our most important asset. And first and foremost, the safety and well-being of our people, but also the people in the communities where we operate. We're very much focused around living and operating in the community. Sustainability is integrated into everything we do. We want to have a positive impact and leave a positive legacy and a safe and sustainable operation. And we are driving our site here at Red Lake on a real transformation journey. We want to be a safe, sustainable and profitable operation. So Red Lake has a very, very long history. It was a site that about 14 months ago was due to close. We now have a mine life or a reserve of over 11 million ounces and a mine life upwards of 15 years. Our long-term vision for this site is to produce between 300 and 500,000 ounces of gold per annum at less than $1,000 AISC US. So there's a lot of work we need to do. One of the key things behind that is changing the way we approach mining. So historically, Red Lake's been mined very narrow, very high grade, and really chasing the grade. We have 3 mills here at Red Lake, and currently 2 of them don't operate. And so we're really switching it into being what we'll, in Australia we'd still call a high grade, but not in Canada, but a lower grade, but a much more bulk mine. So in the next 2 years, we're going to be looking at producing upwards of 2 million tonnes per annum at a head grade of around 6 to 7 ounces. So really pushing into that sort of 200,000 ounces pretty rapidly. So a lot of work to do to change that as a site. One of the things we are focused on is attracting the best and brightest here at Red Lake. We do have an ongoing struggle. Residential is our preference for our people because we are part of a large and vibrant community here. But we do have some FIFO, and we do find that we have to compete with some of the other FIFO operations for talent. We do understand that some of our skills will need to come from outside our local area, and that's purely to attract the skill set that we need. Sorry, my camera slipped. But we do prefer to employ or move people into our local community. We're very big focus on diversity and inclusion. So we have a lot of awareness programs. As part of our balanced business plan, our goals and measures, actually how do we attract and retain diversity? And we look at that as more than just male and female and Indigenous, but also how do we get diversity of background, diversity of thought, and diversity of culture. And we really see this as a point of difference for our business. And as part of that, we're really focused on how do we include people so when they're here, they can bring their true self to work. Like many other operations, we are currently experiencing some critical skills shortages. So we're focused both within our site here at Red Lake, but also on the broader business around how we can attract engineering, particularly geotechnical, programmers and data calculators into the mining space. And this is something that we see as an emerging issue. We're also really focused on reinvigorating the trades in the local area. So we have had a challenge to attract local trades and for fairly small pools for the jobs that we do have. We've brought back in apprenticeship programs, and we are looking to how we can leverage those programs to change the way we think. We have a very strong relationship with our First Nation partners, and we have ongoing sustaining projects and employment through there. We have had a lot of successes recently in bringing in new people to our community, both through our apprenticeship program, but also actually through finding some of the critical skills that we need to attract and live in the Red Lake, which actually is, it's an amazing place to live. We've also got a graduate and EIT programs like other areas. One of the challenges we are facing is the perception of the mining industry holistically. It doesn't necessarily have the best reputation in the world, and so that is something that we are focused on breaking down. But at Evolution, we're really focused on your time with us being the highlight of your career. If we think back to transforming Red Lake, we actually have a huge opportunity for people to come and work in a lot of really exciting and challenging areas, to take a mine that is up to 75 years old and really bring it into the 21st century. We are focused on how we start integrating our technology, and we value data-driven insights to support our operation and our people. So we've got quite a focus at the moment on how do we integrate technology as we replace our fleets to drive that vision of the 300,000 to 500,000 ounces. So we are looking at how we can be both automated, but also environmentally friendly. So we just have purchased the first of our electric fleet. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner there, we've got some electric light vehicles, but we actually received our first electric scoop today. And there's a couple of advantages of that. From a safety viewpoint, we can actually remove people from the face, because not only is the equipment electric, but it's also remote operated. We're turning that into a stream of automation. So looking at how we can actually mine more productive, particularly in our high seismic areas. We're at a depth of 1.5 to 2 kilometres, and we do have some fairly significant seismic impacts. We're looking at real-time data and how we can optimise our data flow. We're also looking at how do we put that information straight into our operators' hands. So in maintenance, we're actually equipping our teams with Observer, which is basically a program on an iPad, but they can look up everything they need, including their job tasks and the history of the fleet there. We do have a significant number of projects here at Red Lake that we're actually in the process of starting. So in June, we acquired the next door neighbouring property, BATEMAN, and BATEMAN came with an underground that is separate to the rest of our existing operations. And we have just finished the decline, driving all the way through down into our underground. And we've also started a decline on our main property to access the Upper Campbell resource. So Upper Campbell is one of the very historic resources. We're actually going to go back and re-mine a lot of what was, there was a significant portion of gold left there. With the addition of these two declines, we're actually starting to unlock the way we think and how we constrain our mine. So we are a shaft constrained mine. These two declines actually start giving us opportunities to think about the way we approach our ore bodies differently. And that's going to be really key for us as we move into the future. As I've said, we do believe here that our people are the key to our success. And the cyclic nature of our business planning helps us to ensure that each day we're going to keep everyone safe, live our values-driven culture, reliably deliver on our budget, add quality mineral resources and ore reserves to extend our mine life further, prosper through the cycle, and make Evolution the highlight of our career. I'm going to pause there for some questions.
Kirsty, thank you so much. That was very succinct and to the point, I guess, which is almost redundant to say that, but thank you so much for a very enlightening presentation from obviously a company that Northwestern Ontario is delighted that you're a part of that greater region, if you will. And you're from Australia. Let me put you on the spot because we got a little bit of time here. So you've been here about a year. So the transition from Australia to Northwestern Ontario, what goes through your mind if you're asked about that question?
So I was actually employed in Canada. I was working out of Alberta in the oil sands. So I've been in Canada a little bit more than 12 months, but even then it was a transition. I came from Calgary to Northwest Ontario. So I am used to winter, even though I don't like it that much. For me, what brought me here was the opportunity that is the transformation at Red Lake. You know, it's not very often that you get to take a mine that's nearly closing and help transform it into something that's going to be here for, you know, the next generation to continue mining, because that is the belief we have of our ore body. On top of that, look, I've lived in a lot of mining towns, and I can honestly say Northwest Ontario is beautiful. I've got a house on a lake. There's lots of opportunity, and there's amazing things close to us. So the lifestyle is fantastic as well.
You know, one of the greatest commodities that people talk about today is time. A lot of people are not looking for necessarily, you know, a bigger salary. They're actually looking to have more time to themselves. And there's something to be said about a life in Northern Ontario where, you know, within 5 minutes out your front door, you can be snowmobiling or skiing, or in the summer, you could be, you know, jumping in the lake and going for a swim or having a sauna, those kinds of things. So I can certainly appreciate those comments. Alexandra has asked if you could reach out to her for the Métis Nation of Ontario. So that's through the chat function. And so if anybody else on our group of individuals that are here today, we've got about 71 people. If you want to type in a quick message here or a quick question for Kirsty before we let her go. There's John Mason. John, let me just give you a second here. I think your mic is open, so you go right ahead, sir.
Very good. Thanks, Kirsty, for your presentation. John Mason with Thunder Bay Economic Development. I'm just curious as to if you can elaborate a little more on your mill capability. I realize you have facilities, obviously, at Bateman, a mill that's quite young in terms of use, but then some other facilities, certainly at Dickinson and the former Campbell. I'm just wondering if there's a plan to rationalize any of those resources or what the processing future might look like.
Yeah, so really good question, John. So our main mill at the moment is the Campbell mill. That produces, let's call it 1,850 tonnes per day. We're actually in the middle of an expansion project for that, up to 2,200. We also run periodically Red Lake Mill, which is 1,000 tonnes per day. And we have just acquired Bateman. Bateman's currently licensed to 1,800 tonnes per day, but has the capacity to 2,500 tonnes. So through our LOM and to support that strategy of 300,000 to 500,000 ounces, our plan is to build from about 2 million tonnes per annum upwards to 4 million tonnes per annum. And so we're really going to be looking at utilising all of those mills and filling them up to that full capacity within about the next, let's call it 5 to 10 years. So we've got some pretty aggressive targets there to support the 300,000 to 500,000 ounces.
Yeah, it's great plans on the expansion. Great to see. Thanks.
Thank you, John, for that question. I know that we'd have another question in the chat here, Kirsty, about a learning management system to help onboard staff. A company from Thunder Bay is working with similar verticals. They'd love to know more about your onboarding process and what that may look like.
Yeah, great question. So I think this is one of those areas that we are currently evaluating. So, you know, as with all companies, we bring people into the Ontario Common Core. We have a learning management system that tags off our safety system. So we use INX as the system for training, TNA, and our safety reporting. That system is relatively new. It did come in with Evolution 12 months ago. But I think where we see our real opportunities at the moment is how do we think about integrating better adult education into how we translate that into on-the-job training on the workforce. You know, rightly or wrongly, you know, there's a lot of parts of our mind, again, we're very old, that are probably a little behind on some of that thinking, and that is one of those areas of focus is what is the best way that we can bring someone through the gate to their common core, but most importantly, how do we give them the skills they need on the job, and how do we make that process streamlined and capture it through our LMS and TNS.
So, Kirsty, as other people are thinking about questions, we do have a lot of suppliers on the line that typically might have their fingerprints on other jurisdictions and other projects that are wondering about evolution. What, in terms of their ability to get in front of people, what's the quickest and easiest way to be able to do that?
Yeah, I suppose it's always an interesting one and a slightly bit of a challenge. Just thinking about it, I know I get a lot of emails. They don't all go answered, and that's just the nature of the emails I get. I would say, you know, if you do know someone on site, reaching out to them is definitely a key part in that. One of the things we've identified is actually getting our people out a little bit more, thinking about some of this, and to shows exactly like this one, so we can see a little bit more. So I would say, you know, reach out, drop an email, or make a phone call is always a good start. You know, I'm not going to guarantee that everyone gets to everything, but if it catches our eye, we'll definitely pass it on to the appropriate people in the organisation.
With big organizations like that, that's a fairly normal situation for you as general manager to be in. So thank you for sharing that insight. Everybody wants a little piece of your attention. That's certainly understandable. So I know Graham from MNP is still here. Hopefully, Graham, maybe you can pop your microphone back on there for a moment. And what we can do is get you to pop in, and maybe Graham, I know you've sat in on pretty much all of these presentations today. What's going through your mind as you're listening to Kirsty here talk today?
Well, it's quite exciting to hear, you know, the project of you know, approaching mining differently that has been done traditionally there, and it's an exciting time of, like you said, kind of resurrecting a mine in decline with a new approach, new strategies. You know, we've and part of the work that we've done with the CETC is you know, reaching out to various stakeholders throughout Northwest Ontario, and so it sounds like it's definitely you know, you're still building, forming the relationships, the connections. It sounds like there's a lot of interest from everyone here today too. So so overall, just yeah, just in my mind, this sounds like a great opportunity for evolution. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, and I think Graham, you know, probably one thing you didn't hit on is COVID's made some of this really difficult. I mean, even look at us today. And it's one thing we have struggled with as evolution is we did take over as COVID hit. And so while we've got a huge amount of people that have great contacts, continuing to build those has been a little bit of a challenge for us.
No doubt, and I think that common sign that we see on storefronts and websites everywhere is we're all in this together, and it's certainly an interesting time.